Audio Jungle.
Hi everybody, my name is Joe Cook. I'm going to be running a Rhino workshop in Jordan on the 28th of January 2016. I wanted to just give you an introduction into what Rhino is and what it does, in order for you to understand how you can use it in your own workflow. I'm going to do this by creating an organic tower. One of the powerful things about Rhino is that it is a plugin based software. What that means is, just like your cell phone or your computer, it uses other plugins to make it even more powerful. Rhino's main features and functions is to be able to produce organic forms, and it uses complex mathematical calculations and complex software in order to be able to do that. So I'm just going to create the tower first of all, and then I'm going to create the base for my tower as well. I'm just going to do this by creating two very simple sets of geometry. And you can see, you'll see in a moment how we're going to make this more organic. So now we've got the base geometry in place. I'm just going to move this to the center of here. What I'm going to do next is merge these two objects together, and then I can start to manipulate the shape that I want to create. So I'm going to basically just create a base for my tower to be able to be attached to. And I'm going to do that by creating the same number of faces that are at the bottom here, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want to create here 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to merge those together. So I'll choose 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll choose 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if I merge them together, I'm going to select that, and it'll show me where the arrows meet one another, and it's going to merge them both together. So now I have two objects merged together. Now it doesn't look very organic at the minute, and so what we're going to start to do now is just manipulate this geometry by turning on our control points, and we can start to manipulate how this will look. So we might want to move this out a little to give ourselves a little bit of space. Just going to move this up a little, bring it back in just so it flows. We can just start to manipulate and play around with this. One of the great things about this software that I'm using at the minute, of Rhino and T-Splines, which is a plugin for Rhino, is that I'm able to use this almost like it was clay, and I can manipulate the geometry exactly how I want it to appear. So I'm just going to keep manipulating it until I'm happy. I'm just going to put a slight curve in there. I'm just going to bring this out a little bit further and bring it across. And what I can start to do now is twist this tower as well. So I'm going to twist that, twist it around, because we're going to use these lines that we see on here as part of our geometry. So I'm just going to start to twist those. Just going to bring this out ever so slightly. And bring that in just a little, just a touch. Back there. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, we can manipulate however we want. We're going to use these lines that we've created to create some geometry on top of them. I'm just going to move this up a touch just to give it a little bit more height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract the curves or the lines that we see on here, and I'm going to use that as my geometry. So if I extract those, and then I'm going to hide my original geometry, and I'm only left with the lines or the curves that I had before. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is start to use these lines to be able to create some organic forms on the actual facade of my building. So again, I'm going to run a feature which is called pipe, and I'm going to pipe around, so it will use these curves and then put geometry around it. I can then start to manipulate the size and the shape of this geometry by very quickly playing around the sizes of the radius of the pipe that's going to go around here. I'm going to change the top. I'm going to make the top slightly smaller, and again I'm going to make this side here slightly smaller, so it goes from a small pipe to a larger one, back up to a smaller one, because we want this to be the main structural part of our building. So we want this facade, this area of our facade, to be thicker. So now I'm going to change the curve position, which will yield a more organic result. So when I press enter, once I've manipulated that, I can then use and see that I've been able to use the geometry or the curves to create an organic form. See, there you go. So I'm just going to select my curves that I used a minute ago, and I'm just going to hide them so they're out of my screen. So you can see that we've just created an organic form. Now we want to put some slabs inside here. So I'm going to bring my original form back. And I'm just going to manipulate this so it fits inside our original form a little bit better. Just bring that back a little bit. Bring that in a touch. Bring these in. Because then what I'm going to do is use this geometry that I've created to create my floor slabs. I'm just going to hide this, the outer shell, the outer facade, and I'm going to then just add some floor slabs onto here. So I do that by using a feature called contour in Rhino. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a vertical contour and then set a distance between each of my contour lines, and then you'll see that I've now created some curves, again using my original geometry. I'll just hide this so you can see them. I've just created some curves that are going to become my floor slabs. So I'll select those and extrude them. I'll just go back to the front view, and then I can just set this distance. I mean, I'm not being too particular about the actual overall dimensions of things at the minute, because I'm just playing around with different iterations of a tower. So they're my slabs. So if I bring back my original facade now, turn that on, you can now see that we have floor slabs inside our tower. And if I just turn it to rendered, so you can see that a little bit better, we now have floor slabs inside of our tower. Now the really great thing about Rhino is now as well is what I can do is use then this geometry to start to create 2D drawings or 2D lines. So the way that I'm going to do that is by selecting my object and using a feature called Make 2D, and I can set 4 views, and if I just click OK, it'll take a few moments for it to calculate, but what essentially it's doing right now is creating an elevation view, a top view, a front view, and also a 3D view of my actual object, so that I can then use that geometry, bring it into AutoCAD and start to work into it to create actual plans, elevations, 3D axonometric views, and so forth. I just wanted to show you how that works. Okay, I'm just going to go in my top view now. I'm just going to hide this original geometry. Just hide these as well. These were the curves that I was using. I'm going to go back in my top view. So now you can see that I have a front view, a side elevation, a top view, and then a 3D view of my tower, and also the footprint at the bottom. And so you can see that I can then take this geometry, because it's now curves, and take it into a software like AutoCAD and begin to output it as actual plans, sections and elevations. So there we have a skyscraper tower plus elevations in 10 minutes. I'm really excited to see you all in Jordan on the 28th, and I hope that you will enjoy the workshop as much as you enjoyed this video. We're going to be working through some more complex geometry. We're going to be creating some Zaha Hadid buildings. We're going to be creating some really amazing facades and some really amazing buildings. So I'm really excited for you to join me on the workshop. See you then.